Hey, you guys, welcome to Unity. Thanks for getting out of bed. Glad to have you with me. Yeah. Welcome to everyone online. And you know, we have had a few things on our calendar in the last week or so. So I get it if you're staying home today, just chilling and watching online. It's definitely a lot less taxing. But, oh, they're on spring break, John says. Is that really true? Is this time for spring break? Oh, I see. Okay. Well, party, have a great time wherever you are. And don't forget, you can be watching us online right now from Florida. I know Karen probably is watching this from Florida right now. Or somebody from Wisconsin. We got folks in Arizona. We got folks in Tennessee. Give a shout out. Everybody give a shout out. Hey, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. And if I haven't met you, I'm Kitty Benson. I'm the minister here at Unity. This is our band, Highest Good, all here together today. Yeah. Our tech team is Christina and Paul and Parker back there doing their thing for you. Yeah. And we've got a new message series to start today. So hopefully you guys are ready to open your hearts and just check in with Spirit and see what is yours to do and be. It may actually be a little challenging. Going to talk about buttons, when people push our buttons. So just keep breathing. That's all I'll say. Just keep breathing through this, and you shall survive. Next week, we're going to play that song, Parker. I shall survive. All right. But let's have some real musicians up here singing. What are we singing first?
Yes. Speaking of opening our hearts, we're saying yes to opening our hearts. Yeah.
That's the name of the song is Yes. Okay. So if you like to stand when you're singing, stand. If you like to sit when you're singing, that's up to you. Let's sing.
Good morning, everyone. Here we go. This very day, this very hour, I claim my good. I say yes to the power within me. This very second, I pay attention to the inner voice that beckons, the inner voice that beckons me. Let's sing that verse again. This very day, this very hour, I claim my good. I say yes to the power within me. This very second, I pay attention to the inner voice that beckons, the inner voice that beckons to me. keep going and saying yes and dancing in that space with Spirit.
There's a place where I love to run and play. There's a place where I sing these songs of praise. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. There's a place where I lose myself within. There's a place where I find myself again. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. There's a place where religion finally dies. There's a place where I lose myself as bride. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. There's a place where I love to run and play. There's a place where I sing new songs of praise. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great. Dancing with the Holy One, it feels so great.
Woo-hoo! Love that song. That was probably one of the very first songs we sang at Unity when we started. Did you know, oh my goodness, I'm going to cry. What's the date today? The 26th. So our first Sunday at Unity in Naperville was April 1st. So coming up this week in 2007. So we're up on our 16th year together. Yay. Yay. Having fun together as usual. Let's just take a moment to find that sacred space in our hearts where we are inspired to come together. We thank you, Spirit, for the call to remember the truth of who we are, to come into community, both physically and spiritually, mentally and emotionally. We sense the presence of one another, the one mind that holds us together, the one heart that loves us together and that we love through. We thank you, Spirit. There is only one presence, and we are an expression of that beautiful ideal. This is the truth of our being, and now we let it be. Amen. And let's just remind ourselves again with our invocation that we speak every week. Here on the screen, together, there's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. You may be seated.
And it's that one presence and that one power that we rest in. We just marinate in that. Ever open to receive. This is a song by our friend Karen Drucker. You probably have heard it. I don't think we've done it here before. So I invite you into this receiving chant. I'll sing it through once just so you, okay. I do believe receive. I just have to know, then declare it to be so with an open mind and just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. I do believe I will receive. I just have to know, then declare it to be so with an open mind and just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. I do believe I will receive. I just have to know, and then declare it to be so with an open mind, just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. I do believe I will receive. I just have to know, and then declare it to be so with an open mind, and just a little bit of time. If it serves my highest good, then it is mine. Anything I want, it is mine. That's right. Anything I want, it is mine. Oh, perfect health,
It is mine.
perfect health.
It is mine.
Joy and peace,
It is mine.
joy and peace.
It is mine.
Oh, and love, 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 love.
It is mine.
Love, love, love.
It is
Mine. If it serves my highest good, it is mine. Declare it one more time. If it serves my highest good,
It
is mine.
I was in another place there for a minute. But here I am. It is mine. That was so perfect for what we're talking about today. I know a lot of times we may have been raised in a belief system that says that's selfish, that's self-centered, that's arrogant. But that's God, the omnipresence of God, expressing in and through us. So it has to be ours. If there is omnipresence, one presence, all is God, then all the good of God is ours. And we are that good. Okay, let's have another message. All right, so here's my other message. I love this season. I love going to the grocery store during this season. Because if you walk down the candy aisle, which I rarely do, I swear, it's filled with pastel colors for Easter. Don't you love that? The pinks and the yellows and the sky blues and the mint greens, M&Ms in those colors. I mean, how good is that? Love that. And you see people gathering them up, and you can just picture like what my mom used to do at Easter time. She had this big platter, decorative platter that she'd cover with Easter grass, and she'd put all these beautiful pastels out, and we'd color eggs and put them out there, and then we'd all have baskets. And it was kind of like, stockings at Christmas. Easter morning, you get up, and your basket is filled with all kinds of fun things. That was good. Those were the days. And there's other ways to celebrate Easter as well. If we take a look at the reason for Easter and where it all got started, it comes back to a spiritual belief system that maybe you were raised in. Who here went to church and, had the traditional Easter experience in church when you were kids? Yeah. And the traditional Easter experience in church wasn't about the Easter bunny. It was about the crucifixion, resurrection of Jesus. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. So right now we started the Lenten season on Ash Wednesday, which is a day where some Christians, probably mostly in the Catholic tradition, go to church on Ash Wednesday. And what happens? You get a little mark, a smudge of ash on your forehead. Who knows or can remember what that was about or why you do that? Say it loud. Dust to dust, the mortality of the body. And yet we are spirit. Gosh, there's so much I could say here. Okay, so it was just a reminder, too, of at that point, if you believe this, it's about, things that you need to repent for, sins that you've committed, asking for forgiveness. And it's entering into the Lenten season for 40 days, preparing for Easter. It's honoring Jesus's life, his sacrifice. At one point he sacrificed 40 days in the wilderness, fasting, and then, of course, sacrificed his life. According to the gospel stories, he was crucified on the cross and rose again. And the church has a story behind that story that you and I were born in original sin, and then the only way we could experience our oneness with God was to accept that gift of Jesus' life, that atonement, from that which or who was the only Son of God. This is the story that comes out of the Gospels. And I got to give the Apostle Paul, a lot of credit for what churches teach today. And I kind of wanted to take us back to where that story came from today, which comes out of the book of Genesis and about the beginning of humankind. We teach often from the scriptures in Genesis that say when God created mankind, humankind, male and female, that we were made in the image and likeness of God. Now, is God a body or is God spirit? Jesus said God is spirit. So if we're made in the image and likeness of God, then we are spirit. And then there's this story of the Adam and Eve, the first male and female. This is what we look at in Unity as an allegory, where this male and female came into being, and God placed them in this beautiful garden called Eden. And in this garden, all that we could possibly need is provided for us and free to live in bliss. And we only had one rule. What was the rule? Don't eat that apple. Okay, yeah. That tree had a name. It was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Look at you Bible students. Yeah, don't touch that one. So, of course, we did. We ate of that tree. Our eyes were open to see that we were naked. God found out, and what happened next? They got cast out of the garden to spend the rest of their life toiling by the sweat of their brow. And in order for us to experience our oneness with God again, then we needed to accept that story of salvation, seeing Jesus as the only Son of God, that his sacrifice was what allowed us to experience our oneness with God and eternity with God. So that is a literal story out of the scriptures, and Unity interprets the Bible not literally for the most part. We do see some of it as history. We do believe that Jesus was born and died and probably on a cross. But we also look at this story metaphysically, which is beyond the literal, and look at the place like the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve as aspects of our own consciousness. So you've probably heard this story if you've been here a while, but we're going to go through it again because it doesn't hurt to remember in this Easter season. We look first at this Garden of Eden as a state of consciousness. So imagine that you and I were spiritual beings in a spiritual dimension that you may want to call heaven, where it's pure bliss. And this is a story that I actually take literally. I actually believe literally that I am a spiritual being, and prior to having this human experience, I was in that spiritual dimension, and I still am. I just don't remember it. And in that spiritual dimension, I am in that state of bliss, which might be a symbol, or Eden might be a symbol for that state of bliss, where my consciousness is one with the consciousness of God, because there is only one mind, one omniscience, one all-knowing, and I share in that. So my spiritual self is one in the mind of God. What's that song that you sing, that we're not just a drop in the ocean, we're all the ocean in a drop. We're all of God in a unique, individualized expression of God as spirit, not just when we get into the body, but as spirit. This is who we are. And as we are living in this state of pure bliss and love and divine wisdom, creative in nature, no limits on our creative abilities, the spiritual, if we even have a body, that spiritual light that we are is perfect and whole. There's no flaws in us. And what I think happened here at this point was that our spirit, God expressing uniquely as all of us, was seeking to know itself even more deeply than it can know in the state of perfection. What would it be like if we weren't perfect? What would it be like if we weren't pure love? What would it be like if we didn't always have all our answers handy, that we couldn't read each other's mind? What would it be like if sometimes our body failed and it wasn't pure life? What would it be like if we sometimes got in arguments and we could no longer really truly experience pure love and pure life and pure wisdom? What would that be like? And I think Divine Mind thought this is a way to expand and evolve the Christ consciousness. This is the way for the mind of God and all that is to know more of itself by experiencing what it is not in its nature. Are you buying any of this yet? Okay, so let's create an environment where we can experience what we are not, because we can't experience it in this spiritual dimension. So voila, big bang, here comes the universe, and it is an environment that has limitations. And as soon as we get, as spirit, choosing to come into this limited universe, we come into these bodies that are very limited, and wow, this is different. This is hard. We start to feel limited by the physical body, where it gets sick. What the heck is this all about? And where is my pure life? We start to experience separation from each other, because once you get into that body, that veil just comes right down. You can't remember your oneness with each other. All you can feel is, I'm in this thing and you're in that thing. I can't read your mind. We're definitely separate. I may or may not like you depending on how you behave. And, I'm having to scrap, around to find my good and hopefully earn enough money to be able to provide for my food. Wasn't like that in the spiritual dimension, but hey, we forgot that. We don't remember what that was like. We're just trying to get along with this physical dimension. And it's not all that easy. That body has a very thick veil that comes down between our spiritual remembering and our human consciousness. So we're in this state of amnesia. We're feeling separate from one another. We're feeling probably lost and not really being able to access what we need in every moment. And every once in a while, a button gets pushed in us. You know what I'm talking about? When somebody looks at you wrong or takes something from you or does something to irritate you, those buttons get pushed, and out comes this behavior, this protective behavior, this judgmental behavior, all part of the human self. Because, yes, our spirit is still fully present in this. It's dancing with one foot in the physical dimension and one foot in the spiritual dimension, but it's usually giving way to the physical. It's the dominant energy in this physical dimension. And so we're not necessarily learning or hearing from our higher self. Our sense consciousness tries to tell us what is real. Sense consciousness has to do with, well, this is true because I saw it with my eyes, or this is true because I heard it with my ears. I tasted it, I touched it, I smelled it. That's what makes it true. And at some point, I'm asking you, as I start this message series, I'm asking you to know that's the way it is in this physical universe and learning how to see what the gift is in it. See what the buttons have to offer you before you get to that state of bliss again. And imagine that this is going to go back and forth throughout our life and be okay with that. Buttons get pushed, and then because of who we really are, we hopefully awaken and we start to become our normal higher self again. So, this doesn't necessarily come easily to our consciousness because of that veil. So I wanted to share a story with you from Christian Sundberg. Up here on the screen, let's show his book. I ran across him on YouTube, and he was being interviewed, and his experience was that he had a difficulty in his life. He went through a lot of physical pain and found his way out of that. And he began to meditate on a regular basis. And during his meditative practice, his veil began to thin. And he started to have memories of who he was before he came into the body. And although he's not like completely open and conscious of who he is as a spiritual being, he gained a lot, and he wrote a book that I'm just really enjoying. It's called A Walk in the Physical. And he tells the story that I just want to share just a snippet with you about his experience. He said, when we come to have a physical lifetime, we have to accept a set of consciousness constraints that we as humans call simply the veil. So in other words, can't really get to it in our knowingness that we are spiritual beings. There's these consciousness constraints. In order to have the full physical experience, we need to forget all of everything else that we are. The veil is the spiritual mechanism, or perhaps even consciousness technology, for all you techies out there, by which this is accomplished. It's like a great cloak that passes over your being, cutting you off experientially from your connection to all knowledge. Think spiritual mind. And veiling the conscious awareness of your living connection with all things, veiling your awareness of your oneness, like we know in the spiritual dimension. From a state of both simultaneous individuality and blissful oneness, that's who we were beforehand, you collapse into individuality only. You plummet from an extremely high vibration to an extremely low vibration as you interface into the physical reality system. After I accepted the veil, I experienced that knowingness to be cut off, and I suddenly felt separate, dark, and alone. Metaphorically, for me, it was like going from rich, vibrant connectedness straight into the airless, cold, and desolate vacuum of space. So he remembers that experience of being in spirit and choosing to go here, to be with this family, to live in this area, to get set up in such a way that he would have this experience and learn from this, and then change who he was. And he's continuing to go through the changing process like all of us, if you're willing to take it on. So we start with this veil that comes over our awareness. It's pretty darn thick, and it's allowing us this process of remembering who we really are. And every time we have a button pushed where we don't have as much money as we want and we go into worry, or we go into a physical challenge and we feel frustrated and even afraid of where it might take us, when we go through a relationship conflict and we feel hurt and separate and alone, all of those are those buttons being pushed, and they are why we came here, so that we could feel what it's like to be separate from love, to be separate from a divine knowing that always has the right answer for everything. So those experiences that we have in the physical are actually not only helping our spiritual being understand itself more deeply and what its perfections are all about, but these human experiences are going into the subconscious, and that's the veil, really, that subconscious layer that we're usually not consciously aware of, but it is very active in this life that we're experiencing. So every time we have one of those not love, not provided for, not healthy, not understanding experiences, those create those emotional feelings, and it all goes into the subconscious as a memory that creates habits and ways of being and then keeps repeating itself. So every time somebody out here pushes one of those buttons, it automatically pulls out that response again. And over again, your higher self is getting to feel what it's like to not know love and to not know supply. Are you following this? Okay. Well, at some point, we get really good at defining ourselves as not spirit. Actually, from the beginning. Probably when we're like 2, 3, 4, and we're starting to talk, and 5 years old, we might even be saying things that said, you know, when I was in heaven, it was this way. Have you ever heard that about little kids telling those stories? And then suddenly 6, 7, 8, they start to forget. But from that point, we start taking on a name that means something to our humanness. We take on a body, and it has a definition for how we should be. We take on possessions, and we say, that's me. Or we take on roles in our life. You know, what in our family, we have a role. In our school system, in our workplace, in our friendships, we have roles. That's me, none of which are perfect, none of which are whole, none of which have provision automatically, none of which really know what to do. See, all that humanness is giving us an opportunity to know what it's like to not be spirit. And in that form, we begin to make assumptions that you can probably all relate to. Here are some of them. Possessions are what will make me happy. And this material world is the only thing that's real. Even though science is now telling us that there is no matter, that everything is energy, we have convinced ourselves that only what we can touch is real. And since we can't touch God, we're not so sure about that. But if God is real, God is judging. God is punishing. I'm not worthy in God's eyes. I'm unlovable in God's eyes. These are stories that we learn and make real for ourselves, and they become to be our nature and how we express, so that we get up in the morning afraid of the world, afraid of what it has to offer us. I'm sure you can relate to this, unless you're starting to do your work. And we get to the point where you feel like, we get to a certain age. We're in our group, monthly group now, Aging with Spirit. And we're addressing that idea that death comes sooner than we are prepared for, and getting ready for it doesn't feel good. There's all kinds of things that we have against getting old. So these are all stories that we tell ourselves. And probably one of the most common that we're unaware of is that duality is reality, meaning separation is reality. And in that limited feeling, all the while, here's our higher self, experiencing what our human self is experiencing, but not buying into it. Our higher self knows who we really are. Our higher self is still one in consciousness with the mind of God. Our spirit is whole and complete. It's creative. All those 12 spiritual powers we talk about, that's who we are as spirit. And we're learning from this human experience, but that's not the end of what we're here to do. We're here to have that experience of lack and limitation, and then let the higher self come through and show us otherwise. Because every time you have one of those lack moments in your life, that's your gift for being here. That's why you came. So that you can take a moment and go, oh, this is what it's like. This is what it's like to feel alone. This is what it's like to feel judged. This is what it's like to not have enough. And I am not that. I am spirit. I am eternal. I am the Christ expressing. All that God is available to me still. So we're not just here to punish ourselves through these difficult experiences. We're here to have them, which will then throw up a creative idea if we allow it. If we keep our minds and hearts open to spirit, then we're going to access those ideas about how to move beyond those limitations, to let our higher self be the one in charge of our life. Can you see how that might be a fun experience? How the pain, the button gets pushed, but then we think, oh, wait, who am I? What's available to me? Where is my bliss? I am one with God. I am not in limitation, but we have to know that in order for it to be that in us. And we look to Jesus as our way shower because he came to know that about himself. Whether he knew it from the minute he was born and he maintained that knowingness his entire life, or he came into that knowingness. I mean, there are stories in the scriptures that show him with his buttons being pushed, you know, when he's in the temple and he's knocking over tables because he doesn't think that's right. Or when he's just like fed up to here with all these lack of faith disciples. How long am I going to have to put up with you people? Okay, look it up. That's what he said. How long am I going to have to put up with you people? So that might have been a human day. Might have had a button push there. And something, our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, wrote many books, one of which was called The Atom-Smashing Power of Mind. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? All right, so one of the things he says up here on the screen, the consciousness of the Lord Jesus Christ is of limitless life, strength, power, wisdom, love, and substance that are everywhere present, always present. And that name, Jesus Christ, is the name we use when he was expressing as the Christ. It wasn't his last name. It was the Christ as an individualized expression of God. And we believe that he expressed that fully by the end of his life. And then he tried to teach us to do likewise. He told us to follow him. He told us not to think of ourselves as born to a physical father and mother. Call no man on earth father, your creator, your source is of spirit, and therefore you are of spirit. So even though you're living in a human body and there was a human father and mother involved, it's not who you are. So don't get caught up in that illusion. And when he taught people to pray, he said, our Father who art in heaven, not my Father, and I'm gonna, ask him to bless you on my behalf. He didn't say my, he said our Father. We are all siblings. We are all the essence of spirit. And we're here to remember that and feel that connection, that essence of God. He prayed this beautiful prayer in the book of John that asked that we could pretty much awaken to the fact that we are one, as he knew he was one with God. Well, why would he pray that unless he knew that we already are one? We already are that presence. When the Pharisees heard him talking about being God and giving him a hard time, he said, what's wrong with you people? I'm sure that was his literal words. What's wrong with you people? If you look at your scriptures, you'll see back in the Psalms, it says, I said, ye are gods, and all of you sons of the Most High. All of you, sons of the Most High, not just one. So we don't look at Jesus as the great exception. We look at Jesus as the great example. Okay? Is this making sense? I know we have a lot of new to Unity folks here that have been here just a little while, so this is probably a lot to take in, so just keep breathing. So let's continue on with what Charles Fillmore says. He said, the method by which Jesus evolved from sense consciousness to God consciousness was first the recognition of the spiritual selfhood and a constant affirmation of its supremacy and power. Jesus said, all authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth. By the power of his word, he penetrated deeper into omnipresence and tapped the deepest resources of his mind. By the power of his what? Word. Affirmations. This is why we speak affirmations. This is because it's allowing us to dig deeper into the resources of divine mind, where he released the light, life, and substance of spirit, which enabled him to get the realization that wholly united his consciousness with the Father mind, where he went from human consciousness, subconsciousness thinking, to superconscious mind, and asked us to follow. So who are we? We're spiritual beings having this human experience. Our natural state is not this body. It's not our money. It's not our family that we were born into, or how much education we've gotten at college or no college. Our nature is divine mind, divine intelligence. Our nature is infinite life. Our nature is creativity and love. That's who we are. And we left the garden, we left the spiritual dimension on purpose, by choice, to have this human experience. And 95% of the time, that human experience is winning when we're letting our subconscious choose our actions for us. And the fact that you're sitting here, the fact that you're listening to my voice somewhere in the world right now, makes me think that you're ready to give up 95% to the subconscious and maybe take some of that back to your higher self, your superconscious mind. And little by little, we are awakening to who we are as that presence. But never try to give up all that this human experience offers, because it's why you came. Don't forget that. While we're experiencing all these difficulties, your soul is expanding in understanding of who you are as a spiritual being. I believe, and we teach in Unity, that God evolves, that we are all God evolving. And the reason that there's so many of us is because this infinite presence of God can be all of us at once, evolving in different ways. And everything that you're experiencing on earth is contributing to the whole of the one. Oh, they're happy about that. That just, woo! Even when there's other spiritual beings like you and me who are not in the body right now, they are experiencing what you are experiencing. You are contributing to the whole. Okay, I feel that fun. That feels fun. All right, good. My mom, yay! There's mom up there going, yay! Okay, stop that, kitty. All right, so if we came with a full knowing of who we are, we wouldn't get the benefit of it. You see what I'm saying? Once we truly awoke to who we were, nothing would be a threat to us, and we wouldn't learn what it's like to not be loved, because we would only know love. And no button could set us back. So I'm inviting you to find the joy when the button is pushed. And know that there is bliss available, and you have the consciousness to choose that. That's your conscious mind, the one that knows that you're sitting here right now or listening to me right now. That's the part of you that can choose which way you want to be looking at life. So feel the gratitude for this is what it's like, and then remember who you are as a spiritual being and what your potential really is. And use that creative nature, because that's another reason why I think we came, is to create more than we can in the spiritual dimension. We can create a whole lot more here in the physical dimension. I know that there are people that are just waiting with bated breath to get the heck out of here. I know a lot of Christian friends who are just waiting to get to heaven where all their good resides. But I'm telling you, this is where it is. This is where we should be excited to be. This is where people are in line on the other side waiting to get in here, because this is where we evolve and experience more of who we are as an infinite being. And when we use the word infinite, we mean infinite, not limited, no end to it. This is going to go on forever. Let's make it a fun experience instead of just a drudge. You did not come here to be in a drudge. You came here to have a button pushed, but then to wake up to who you are and create something new out of that. And every time you feel love, pure love, every time you get an idea to make something better, every time you have a deep understanding of how something works, that's your spirit. That's your higher self coming through and leading you towards that blissful state. And I'm not saying sit around and look and wait for those moments of buttons being pushed, but just know when they come that there is another end to this spectrum that we have a choice to walk into, if we will. This is what Suzanne Giesman, she found a way to get past the veil, so to speak, and to hear from the other side some guidance. And this is what she shared. You're here to remember yourself as part of a system of lower beings and higher beings, where lower and higher simply refer to the level of awareness. Regain awareness that there is one awareness having the experience of itself as all of this, and all will flow with joy. Maybe a little bit of button pushing, but that's for good. John, has anybody ticked you off? Okay, that's a button being pushed. You know how when sometimes we push a button and the garage door goes down? It's really loud. That's kind of what our buttons to push. When somebody behaves in a way that you don't like, it's like somebody pushing your garage door and your wall goes down and you separate yourself and you sit back in that garage and you just stew. And you feel anger, you feel frustration, or maybe you feel loneliness, or maybe you feel hurt. All the things that are not God, not good. And we feel those all day, every day, don't we? So you're sitting here because you want an option. I hope this has given you an option. And for the next 2 weeks, we're going to keep talking about options and why we're here. So I hope you'll come back for that. But for now, let's stop and meditate, because that's the other way to get where we're going, shall we? Whew! So thank you, Spirit. Just thank you. Let's just take a moment to feel that oneness. Allow ourselves to move into that blissful state. No matter how many problems that are going on in your life right now and how many buttons are being pushed, we take this moment to just breathe. Let's take that deep breath and release that heaviness on purpose. Let's consciously choose to release that. Deep breath in and release it. One more breath in and release. Sense your physical body. Just scan it from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Notice if anything wants your attention. If there's any source of tension there, just breathe in life, the divine idea of life, the life that is whole, calm, soothing, enlivening. Breathe that into that area of your body. Breathe in that light of spirit. Feel a sense of gratitude for your body and all that it gives to you every day. We thank you, body, for the ability to move, to carry, to think. To touch and taste and smell, to see and hear. Thank you, body. I'm grateful as a spiritual being to have you as my home. To every cell in my body, I say thank you for supporting me in this journey. And I open my mind to the state of my life now. Allow your thoughts to go to one thing that seems to have your attention right now in your life. Might be about your finances, your health, a relationship, a decision. What is it that has a pull on your attention? Is there a button being pushed that's creating a negative emotion? We thank you, physical universe, for allowing this experience so that our spirit may know what we are not. We are not hate or anger. We are not sickness or death. We are not lack or limitation. We are spirit. And in this moment, I allow myself to know I and the Father are one. That all that God is can be as me. I choose to look at this one experience that has my attention right now with new eyes, spiritual eyes. I judge not by appearance, but by the invisible power of love, of wisdom, of substance, of life. Even now, I know which of those divine qualities would suit me best to transform this experience into bliss. Just hold that divine idea in your mind for a moment and imagine what life would be like if you were living as life, perfect and whole. If you were living through divine wisdom, perfect love, a flow of generous abundance. Be that now in your heart and know that this is the truth of you. In all things, we give thanks for this precious opportunity to know the truth of who we are. And we allow this truth to set us free for as long as we exist. Thank you, God. Amen. That wasn't too hard, was it? Gives you lots to focus on this week, and then come back next week and we'll just keep focusing. I love this stuff. That's why I do what I do. I could talk about this all day and night, so. At some point you're gonna have to say, go home, kitty. All right, well, we want to take some time today to actively share our love for your own spiritual community through your gifts, through your tithes and your love offerings, as a way to sustain this message and to sustain this community that you're creating. You are an expression of the divine as you give. So we just invite you to give from that place of being. And if you're doing this online, you can do it through our website at unityinnaperville.org. There's a donate tab at the top of our homepage. If you want to mail the check, you can send it to our P.O. Box 9733 in Naperville, 60567. And let's bless what we give. Let's empower it to do great work. The words are here on the screen. Together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I am grateful. Thank you. Ushers, will you come, please?
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful
For all that I have, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cindy Spees, and I'll be sharing announcements with you. If you are joining us for the very first time, welcome. We're thrilled you're here, and I want to say good morning to our online folks who are visiting with us today. Thank you. Okay. If you are physically here today and you're new, please help yourself to any of the literature that's on the front table, and then stop and ask any of us about what unity is, especially Reverend Kitty. Okay. 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 If you want to learn more about what's happening in Unity, you can sign up for our weekly e-news or Reverend Kitty's twice monthly New Thoughts email by going to our homepage in unityinnaperville.org, or you can email admin@unityinnaperville.org. So here's what's happening in Unity. Join us today after service for lunch at the patio. That's located 4400 Fox Valley Drive in Aurora, right down Route 59. If you're part of our online community, come make new friends and hang out with Reverend Kitty for backroom banter today after service. You can access the Zoom link on our event calendar. Monday morning metaphysics meets with Reverend Mary Beth Spear tomorrow online at 10:30. The group is reading Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Barron, and that'll be tomorrow. It's a stand-in, so you can drop in at any time. The grief support group meets online Monday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. It's time for Bunko. Okay, that will be Friday, April 7th at 7 p.m. here. Bunko is a dice game that's fun and easy to play and allows for plenty of time to socialize. Please bring a snack to share, and $2 requested to fund the prize pot. So please bring cash. Snacks, drinks, and instructions on how to play will be provided. You want to RSVP for that to admin and unityinnaperville.org, or you can sign up in the front room so we know how many folks to plan for. Are you considering making Unity your spiritual home here, Or are you curious and would like more information about what Unity's about? You can join Reverend Kitty's membership class online Sunday, April 23rd from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And in person, okay. When is the in-person? Same day. Okay, good. So email Reverend Kitty at unityinnaperville.org to let her know if you're coming or if you'd prefer the Zoom access for that same time. Again, Sunday, April 23rd, live, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. here, but there is a online access too. Sign-up sheet out front. Thank you. Okay. Prayer chaplains are available to pray with you by phone or in the prayer room after service. Email your name and phone number to prayer@unityinnaperville.org, and a prayer chaplain will contact you by 1 p.m. today. For details on all our events, you can go to unityinnaperville.org, and if you have questions, you go to admin@unityinnaperville.org. I have one more announcement. Okay. It was a little confusing about how to access or sign up for the energy medicine sessions. It kind of was confusing to me because it was more directed to our online community, I think. But so we're going to keep that open. And I thought I'd tell you a little bit about what the heck an energy medicine session is about. I was drawn to it after 43 years of nursing practice. I'm an advanced practice nurse, and I always felt that there was more to what Western medicine had to offer us. Western medicine is important. You know, if your gallbladder is full of sludge and you need it out, you need it out. But the other piece comes when you're healing. You know, that gallbladder meridian is still there, still needs to talk to your intestinal tract, needs to support your heart, needs to support your lungs. So that's where energy medicine comes in. We look at the whole body. There's 9 energy systems. It's very scientific. It's based on Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Taoist traditions as well. And it looks at the body as a whole. For example, I was working with a client this week. She had ankle surgery. She had to have plates and screws for a fracture a couple years ago. And the peroneus muscle, which is right behind our calves, which controls the nervous system, the bladder meridian itself, was frozen. She couldn't bend her ankle or rotate her foot, and it was probably frozen for a while. But the big picture was her heart. She was going through heartache. Her husband is going blind, and that everything is related. We look at that, and it's a beautiful symmetry that I really appreciate, and it's testable. So a session is about an hour and a half long, and the best part is the person gets to know what their body is trying to tell them, because when we come into this body, we are not given an owner's manual. We buy a car and we get an owner's manual, right? But if you learn how, and I learned later in life how to do this, I never knew my bladder meridian was over-energized. I knew I idled kind of high. I've got a lot of energy, but when I found out I could relax it, I thought, whoa, where have you been all my life? And the other thing that I want to tell you is I've lowered the price substantially. A session is an hour and a half long. I can come to your home. You can come to my home. I can do a virtual one on Zoom, but that one is going to be more geared to me teaching you how to test some of your body parts so that you can help yourself. And sometimes people have autoimmune illnesses and they don't want to leave their home, and that's understandable, or they live far away. But the other thing is I want you to know that I honor your confidentiality. I will never stop you in the hall and say, hey, how's that rash? I will not, your person's energies are sacred. And it's really mind, body, and spirit, and it's a very holy thing. So part of that hour and a half session is we sit down at my dining room table and say, what are you concerned about? And that's not part of the session time. You're on the table at least an hour and a half. And if I need to go a little longer, I will, because I want you to walk out the door feeling better than you did. It's good for relaxation, for pain, for emotional struggles. Our nature, you talked about today, Reverend Kitty, is to be healing, as deep healing. And sometimes Western medicine will prescribe a pill, but not look at what's going on emotionally. Because when a meridian is out of balance, the emotions will be out of balance. It'll show up. So I feel kind of embarrassed tooting my own horn here, but I want you to know what I do. So I hope you sign up for some sessions. It's a great way to support our church. And when I was sitting in my seat over there, I'm thinking, how are you going to talk about yourself? You feel like you're bragging. And I thought, wait a minute, my gift is to share this. And I'm really honored to do that with you. So you go to the Shamrock Shenanigans link on unityinnaperville.org. You'll see all the information you need. And if you have questions about it afterwards, please come. I'll be here for a little while. So thank you.
Can I interject just a little bit? Thank you for all that sharing. And I know she's never going to, she honors confidentiality. But I will say, I had about 10 sessions with Cindy as I was going through chemotherapy. Every single week, she just was there and present. And boy, I'm going to get verklempt. The difference it made for me to have that person come into my space with that loving energy and intention. That intention and working and walking through this process with me was invaluable. What she does is powerful, and I encourage you, if you're even thinking about it, just go talk to her and get more information, because it is a beautiful, powerful thing. Thank you. I love you. Yeah, love you.
Thank you. If you weren't aware, this gift that she has, she's making available for the next 5 people who make a $100 donation to Unity. Yeah. She's offering this service on her own for free. So your gift goes to Unity, and you get Cindy as your gift. Yes. So again, You can do that on our website, Unity in Naperville. And Jack Wells, who's a spiritual medium, is also continuing to offer for the next week or so to those who are interested. So just check online. All those gifts that we were offering at Shamrock Shenanigans are still available, and you'll see what it's all about. Let me know if you have questions, okay? We have one more slide up here. I'll make it quick. I want to celebrate that after we spoke of this last week, that we had someone come forward and be willing to run. And I'm still looking for 2 more people who would be willing to run for our Board of Trustees. And that election happens on April 30th at our annual meeting, so save that date in the back of your mind. If you're not a member and you want to run, you can attend the membership class on April 23rd. See how we've got that all figured out for you? Not very hard at all. There are forms out today, I swear it, out on the table about what the qualifications are for a board member, and an application if you'd like to fill that out. And just talk with me more. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, do we have one more song to sing? Let's stand as you're able, and we'll sing again.
So how this works is I'll fill in a word, and you'll be repeating that line with that word. How's that? I've got the truth of God in me.
I've got the truth of God in me.
I've got everything I need.
I've got everything I need.
I've got it all. I've got it made. I've got it oh so good. And I've got the bliss of God in me.
I've got the bliss of God in me.
I've got everything I need.
I've got everything I need.
I've got it all. I've got it made. I've got it oh so good. One more now. And I've got the love of God in me.
I've got the love
I don't know if I can show you this. Hold on. Okay, I can kind of show. Can we get a close-up, cameraman? These are the mugs that we gave away at our Shamrock Shenanigans. But since you missed it, or if you missed it, we're making the leftovers available for $5 each out at the information table. It's got our infinite love symbol here etched into the glass. So if that speaks to you, they take hot water, they take coffee, they take tea, whatever you drink. It's back at the info table where Susan is. Thanks for that support. Okay, here's our closing affirmation. Up here on the screen. Yeah, so it's both and. It's joy and it's pain, and we're here on purpose. So let's say this together. I am an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. So get out there and love every minute of it. And I'll see you next week. Join me for food out here or over at the patio. Let's have lunch together. And in the meantime, I'm going to go find my way to the back room. And I swear I'll be there today to talk to our online crowd. Thanks for coming, you guys. We'll have you next time. Whoops, back up.
There's a place where I love to run and play.
How you doing online?
There's a place where I sing new songs of praise.
Thank you for being here today.
Dancing with the Holy One in fields of grace. Dancing with the Holy One in fields of grace. There's a place where I lose myself within. There's a place where I find myself again. Dancing with the Holy One in fields of grace.
Susie's dancing. Come on.
Dancing with the Holy One in fields of grace. There's a place where religion finally dies. There's a place where I lose my selfish pride.